Hey, everybody, I'm incognito. Well, not really, because, you know, it says my name on there on the front, AE5DW. Hey, it's time for Ham Nation. And tonight we have a really good show. Gordon has a really cool thing that you can get for free from him and W5YI. You're going to love that. We're going to talk Tennessee linked repeaters with Kevin W4KEV. This guy has got a monster system up there, and you are going to be amazed. George is going to make something really cool out of a regular household item that could be considered a shack aid. And we've got Amanda with a chat room and a whole lot more. It's a great show, and you're just in time. So sit back, pour yourself an icy beverage, and let's enjoy Ham Nation together, shall we? Ham Nation is brought to you from LastPass Studios. You're focused on security, but are your employees? LastPass can ensure that they are by making access and authentication seamless, whether they're working in the office or remote. Visit LastPass.com/twit to learn more.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
This episode of Ham Nation is brought to you by ICOM. For more information, visit ICOMAmerica.com/HamNation. And by LastPass. Let LastPass improve your employees' experience while safeguarding your business from cyber threats. LastPass is the #1 password manager. Visit LastPass.com/twit to find out how they can help you. This is Ham Nation, episode 473 for September 30th, 2020. Tennessee linked repeaters. Hey, good evening, everybody. If you're watching us live, it is 8 p.m. Central on Wednesday night, the last day of September. The final day of my birthday month. Yes, I've celebrated for 30 days, and that's just what we do down here in South Louisiana, South Mississippi. So we're glad that you're here on Ham Nation. This is a show, if you're just joining us for the very first time, a show all about amateur radio and the electronic side and technical side of ham radio, the social side of ham radio, the fun side of ham radio, and hopefully the informational and learning side of ham radio. Basically, ham radio is like the greatest hobby in the world, and we want to make sure that we can help you make the absolute most of it. There's no telling what we're going to be talking about tonight. Bob Heil, K9EID, is normally with us. He is not with us tonight. He's out doing Heil stuff, whatever that may be. But we have the usual suspects. We've got George Thomas, W5JDX, and Gordon West. Gordon's out on the West Coast. We'll get back to him in a sec. But George, what's going on up in Jackson?
Well, what's going on up in Jackson is similar to what's going on down there. Some great weather here. It's finally cooled down a little bit where it's only around 80 degrees during the day. But I've got an oldie but a goodie coming up from the archives tonight on Smoke and Solder that was one of my favorite projects we did here.
Good. Can't wait to see that. We have a special guest also from the Knoxville, Tennessee area, Kevin Duplantis, W4KEV. We're going to talk to Kevin. We're going to talk to Kevin about some linked repeaters, but real quick, hello, Kevin. Good to see you on here. Kevin and I go way back to the old New Orleans days, back before Katrina.
Yes, we do, and one of us was able to escape, and I'm fortunate to be the one that did.
Clearly, you're the smart one. We'll get back to you in just a sec. Thanks for being here tonight. Really? Interesting topic. You're going to really want to hear what Kevin has to say. But out on the left coast, Gordon West, how are you tonight? Gordon, what's going on with your short shots?
All is well, and are you ready for short shots, Don? Because we're going to go back and do a little bit of history.
Fling it on us, my friend. Fling it on us.
All right. Well, everybody remembers the good old days, and the good old days was when you learned code with the Farnsworth method. Well, we're not going to teach you code tonight. However, it was updated, the Farnsworth, to the Amico code courses, and they went from 78s over to 33 1/3. And then this guy, Gordo, got a hold of Radio Shack saying, cassettes, this is the latest, cassettes. And so the cassettes for Radio Shack, where a lot of folks started learning the code. And then, of course, we took the codes from cassettes as well as our audio, and we went to CDs. Well, the CDs are now getting more and more rare, much like the cassette tapes. and certainly more rare, or not more rare than 78s or 33s. But I thought we would take a look and a listen at something that I'm very happy to say our publisher now has allowed us to give to all of you free of charge, the following. So if we could go ahead and start with our short shots, and let's take a listen and see what's going on. First of all, ham radio instructors have always enjoyed when we're able to play the different audio sounds of real live ham radio. They like that. So we've incorporated for a long time the audio course in each one of our books. And the audio course is not learning the test questions, but rather hearing the sounds that are out there that make ham radio so much fun. So for technician class, bottom right-hand corner, on the air CD included. Then we went to extra class, and we found that extra class, they love that on-the-air CD of all the exciting sounds of ham radio. And they started bugging me. All the instructors, and by the way, the instructor course through the W5YI system is free of charge. All the instructors said, but we'd like that on-the-air audio so we can play some of the excitement for our students. And so I went to our publisher and distributor and said, hey, guys, why don't we take the audio CD that's always a pain in the rear to get bound into the tech, the general, and the extra book, and let's make it available to everyone, not just ham radio instructors, but everyone, so they can start playing some of the exciting sounds of ham radio that I've recorded over the last 40 years. So what we now have is we've taken the on-the-air 1 hour for tech, 1 hour for general, 1 hour for extra, and we have taken the audio and now have them downloadable absolutely free. And this is not just old Gordo yakking, but rather audio that shows what ham radio is all about via ears and earphones. So now we take, and we'll do a general class right now, a welcome to general class and the general class license. And notice I say take a listen. Let's eavesdrop. Tuning into, learning how to tune into sideband, the best HF radio to buy from experts. All of this is now available absolutely free in each of these tracks on the W5YI.org. So what you do is you go into W5YI.org, click on that, and you'll come to this site. Now be cautious, because above this listing are listings from other sellers of the W5YI product that will get you to their sales desk. Nope. You want to go right to the original source. That's W5YI.org, about 1 or 2 down from the top of the column. So click on that, and then over on the left-hand side, you'll see a product catalog. And the W5YI group out of Texas does amateur radio products that I do, commercial radio, which I do, software, electronic references, the MIMS courses, the Morse code that I do. And there it is, brand new book audio CD downloads. Click on that. It won't cost you a penny. Once you click on that, you'll have your choice of downloading my 1 hour technician class audio, or general class audio, that's an hour long, or extra class audio. And remember, these audio courses get you on the air. They're preliminary for some of the other courses that people do pay for to actually learn the question pool. But more important than learning the question pool is to recognize the sounds that are out there. So go ahead and click on that, and click on Tech, General, or Extra. It takes about a minute to load. And you'll watch your little blinking arrow and the little blue, and it tells you how many seconds left if you just can't wait and click on it. And once it comes up, bingo, there it is, 80.6 megabytes. That's why it takes about a minute to download. And once you click on that, bango, it's going to take you over to, and you clicked on general class, so there it is, and there are the different audio takes. And each one of these tracks is what you're going to be able to hear. So let's do one of the audio tracks. And we click on using your HF radio for shortwave listening or expert advice, and you'll hear all the audio. Now, it's important to remember that these are not exactly in the order that I originally recorded them. So start off with a welcome to high-frequency ham radio. For technician, welcome to VHF and UHF plus a taste of high frequency. And extra class, welcome to your new high frequency privileges. And you'll hear a catchy little theme song right along with the audio that you're going to hear. So we click open, and in about 5 seconds, there you go. And you know that one. And that's going to lead you to the different sounds of ham radio. And I narrate them all so you know what's going on. So after the warm-up, we go ahead, and if we could go ahead and jump back, there should be a couple more that are part of that download. After the warm-up, you'll hear different sounds. For instance, we've got a voltmeter, and the voltmeter, and if you could go ahead and maybe show that it's part of the other downloads. Here's what the voltmeter sounds like.
We're down here at about 13.0 volts. Let's take it down just a little bit more. Now we're at 12 volts.
So you see, that's important for a new ham, especially a technician class operator or a general class getting an HF radio, to be able to understand that they've got to have a good voltage supply, or else the audio, as you just heard there, is going to be pretty mushy. Well, for technician class operators, we give them a little taste of the sporadic E. And this is what it sounds like for the technician class operator, sporadic E.
Long Island, New York, Fox November 30. That's Fox November 30. And yes, it's great to see the band open it up.
So there's a ham on the East Coast talking about sporadic E. And here's another sporadic E contact that technician class operators can do that they'll hear on the radio.
WB9TKC, 6 watts out from a converted CB. I've talked to 20 countries and 40 states since last February. South Africa, Alaska, Norway.
So these are live sounds that we've recorded right off the airwaves to get the technician class or general class or extra class operator really excited that this ham radio is fun. Well, now we talk about technician class privileges, working sporadic E that you see right there. But then we say, technician class operators, do you realize that you can work some great DX on 10 meters, sometimes via the F layer if it ever comes down?
Goodness, the people that you meet in the hobby. There is no other satisfaction like meeting new people and making new friends that I can think of.
So what you're hearing is the actual live sounds on this audio program. And again, all three, Tech, General, and Extra, are free. And of course, we got to play them this sound for General that tuned down below the voice spectrum of the radio. Oh my gosh, what in the heck was that? What the heck was that? That was FT8. Boy, you're going to have a lot of fun with FT8. Well, there's more excitement yet out there beside just FT8 that you see there, and that is the weather. And here's the weather down on Earth, and we talk all about the effects of tropospheric ducting.
Your 1296 beacon in Los Angeles right now. I just heard that, passing it to you.
Wow, 1296 megahertz beacon heard in Los Angeles coming all the way from Hawaii. And we tell the technician class operators, hey, when you get your new tech license, there's also space weather. And as you know, we all had a coronal mass ejection this past weekend. Listen to what some of the CW sounded like jumping off of an aurora. Pretty weird, huh? Well, that was actually an auroral CW exchange. So that's amazing. Well, many of you were tuned in today as well as tomorrow to the RS-1SS Russian transmission of slow scan television. And, you can talk about slow scan television at 145-800 that we could hear. But what does it sound like? So that's the sound of slow scan television. And with these free audio courses, they are going to get you absolutely set. Now, don't get them mixed up. There are 4 audio CDs for technician and general class and 6 audio CDs for actually going through the question pool and playing some of those additional sound bites. And we're going to play some of them as a contest next weekend. No, these we aren't giving away free. The ones that are coming free are the 1-hour audio CDs, thanks to the W5YI group that says, let's share it with all hams so that they can get excited and get their kids excited about listening to the International Space Station or teaching a class to be able to play all of the different tracks that you hear on these audio CDs. So the audio course that lasts 1 hour with audio sounds called On the Air. Not learning to take the test, but the free ones get everybody learning about what they're going to hear on ham radio. So, Don, what do you think? We think it's going to be a great program, absolutely free for download.
I think that's an amazing resource, and hats off to you and W5YI for allowing that to go out as a free download. That's just so cool. I mean, that gives someone who is maybe thinking about, man, I'd really like to get into this ham radio thing, but I have no idea where to begin. Go to W5YI, pull down those audio files, and you get a shot at listening to some of the things that you'll be doing as a licensed amateur for free from arguably the best amateur radio teacher around, Gordon West. That is awesome, Gordon. Thanks for doing that for us. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And talking about 10 meters, man, let me tell you, when I first became a Tech Plus and got off the repeaters, I had a unit in 2510, 10-meter radio in my pickup truck, and just a little fiberglass whip on the back. And I'm driving down I-10 in New Orleans, and I talked to Japan and Australia back-to-back on 25 watts on that thing. So when 10 meters is open, that is a wad of fun, a wad of fun. So once you get those HF privileges, and you have them now, of course, with the technician, this was, of course, back when you had to have the 5-word per minute code. But now, you can get on 10 meters as a tech and get off the repeaters. But there's a lot of fun to be had on repeaters, especially up in the state of Tennessee. And that's where our next guest comes in. That's Kevin Duplantis, W4KEV. Hello, Kevin. First off, how are you tonight?
I'm fine, Don. How are you?
I'm good. Little background on Kevin. Kevin is a broadcast engineer. I met him years ago in New Orleans when he lived down here. And then Hurricane Katrina came along and washed him up to the Knoxville, Tennessee area, where he has dug in like a tick on a hound dog. And Kevin still, as a broadcast engineer, has access to tall towers and access to, well, you're kind of a scrounger, I think, actually.
I am a scrounger.
You have the largest collection, I think, of linked repeaters in Tennessee for sure, and maybe in the country. How many repeaters do you have now in this link system up in Tennessee?
Not counting any of the link frequencies, I've got 31 repeaters.
So 31 individual discrete machines that are all linked together in the state of Tennessee. And what's the coverage like?
We cover from, well, I'll give you the frequency range. I start off at 10 meters. I've got a 10-meter repeater, and I go all the way up to 1.2 gig on D-Star.
Wow. Any system fusion up there, or the mountains kind of keep you from doing that?
No, all the modes. I run P25, D-Star, System Fusion. The only one I don't run, well, and DMR. The only one I don't run right now is the Kenwood mode. But the linked repeaters, which are full duplex linked, extend everywhere from Nashville all the way over to Asheville, down to South Carolina, Virginia, little part of West Virginia, Kentucky, Georgia, and a little part of Alabama.
So are these selectively linked, or when you key one up, you key them all up?
You get them all. You get 4 of the repeaters on VHF connected together. They span out from Knoxville. One is 69 miles away. The one to the south is 62 miles away. Gatlinburg is 30 miles away.
And these are all linked via RF, correct?
That is correct. Every one is a UHF link. I don't use any kind of internet. It minimizes your outage potential, and it keeps all of the controls in the hand of the operator.
Now, you've been in Knoxville since right after Katrina, which has been 15 years now. When did you start putting this project together, and how long did it take you to get to where you are now?
Started about a year or so after I got here. Learned that the company I'd worked for was very ham-friendly, and I was able to start utilizing some of the repeaters I had brought up. It's a very active location up here. I mean, East Tennessee has a massive amount of active hams, and it took a little while to worm my way in. And over time, after I linked the first repeater, finding out that if you don't link them in a full duplex way, you have one guy keying out another guy. It could be difficult to actually utilize. So I started saying, well, I think I can do this full duplex. One of the manufacturer's microcomputer concepts that I use for some of the controllers, I asked him if he wouldn't mind doing a full duplex version. It took a little bit of changing the code, and voila, there's a full duplex link, and it expanded out from there. It took about 4 years to get everything acquired and then linked together. Yeah, and when you're a one-man band, it takes a little while to get everything straight, but so far it's been going strong for about 8 or 9 years as a full duplex 4 repeater setup.
And you know, the fun part about that, even though I know you said that it's all RF links, you don't use Echolink to link any of the repeaters together, but you are an Echolink node. So I know there have been many times that from down here in South Mississippi, I've Echolinked in and I'm on the system. So yes, basically you're open to the world via Echolink.
Echolink, and we also have All-Star. The control hub in Knoxville has the Echolink connections, and so you can get in, and then you're connected up to about 8 states in the area. And I got to tell you, what it's opened up is it's given a lot of hams in different places the ability to get to know other people, and that was the main goal, was to bring people together. We had started to notice a decline in repeater activity. And I said, well, you know, if we don't start bringing people together, things will fall apart real quick. We have a lot of single-use repeaters, or you know, ones that aren't connected, and they have had a decrease in activity. And so that was the basic premise behind getting them linked, and not doing it in a way that would, well, let's just say, if you've ever been on linked repeaters, sometimes there's delays in transmit and receive. I wanted to minimize that. RF was the most perfect way to minimize throughput delay and achieve maximum fidelity. And that's the other thing I go for, is I don't want it to sound too communication grade audio. I want it to have good wideband audio, and that takes a little time to get.
Makes it real comfortable for the user as well. You want to stay on the repeater a little bit longer and talk to your friends a little bit longer if it's not fatiguing to listen to. You mentioned that Knoxville and that area up there has a very active ham radio community. I understand that, first off, you have a very active traders net up there, but you guys just did not too long ago something that not a whole lot of amateur radio communities are doing, and that is having an actual ham fest.
We had a ham fest. We had 2 of them, actually. We had one this last weekend. And then we had the Sevier County Hamfest. About a month or 2 before that, there was the McMinn County Hamfest, and we had a little junk in the trunk up where I work at. You've been there. We kind of kicked it off here in Knoxville and started going against the tide of people shutting down, and then it really opened up. Sevierville, right there where Dolly Parton's from, might know her. I don't know if you follow country music at all, but they had a bang up Hamfest down there, and it's really taken off. And I got to tell you, not only is the community active. But you mentioned the Dixie Traders Net. We do about 125 check-ins a week. It's gotten to the point now where we've had to expand the time that we run the net, and we even have some benefactors who are donating equipment to give away, which encourages guys to get off the sidelines and key their mic, because Don, you don't need a license to listen, and we always encourage people, use your license, and man, go ahead and just keep talking. That's the whole purpose. We're not here to listen. We want guys to talk and fill up all the repeaters in the area, and I'd rather have too many than not enough.
Absolutely. Let's get back to the Dixie Traders Net for a sec, because you are linked on Echolink and anybody can take part in that. What night of the week and what time is that on?
Friday nights, and that starts at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and we go till about 10:30. And as I said, at the end of each month, we take a little time and we draw a random number. Everybody has a number, and we get a number and draw a radio. I mean, a guy or a girl will win a radio or a piece of test gear. It all depends. It's been wonderful. It's kind of revived and given a little a shot of adrenaline to the community here. And we get check-ins, like I said, from the surrounding areas, and that's great. It does help when you go to a ham fest and you know call signs, some people. It just opens everything up.
Well, that's amazing. You're to be commended for I know it's taken a lot of time, effort, and your own personal cash to get that going. But as I said earlier, you are the ultimate scrounger. You find more stuff than any one person I have ever known in my life.
Just a little.
You have a talent for that.
I am not afraid of dumpsters. I wanted to remind hams, make friends with your local two-way shops. Help them out whenever possible. If they need help doing anything, help them. They will help you. I get alerted all the time about, hey, we just threw away some things. You might want to come check. Or we're going to put it next to the dumpster. We've decommissioned a site. There's a bunch of cable. Local technicians. We all eat together on a Thursday. We find out, this group is going to be, taking down a bunch of things. Do you all want any of the cable, any of the equipment? We never say no. You go get it, and you find out how to deal with it later. My dog just jumped up in my lap here, so there's Annabelle, and she loves the ham radio too. She always sits by my lap when I'm on it. But Don, I'm looking at right behind me a bed full of cable that I still have to sort through, and man, it's constant. You just have to stay on top of everything. Have an ear to the wind to listen for things that are coming up that you might have a shot at. And we've got some wonderful people here as well that make some very generous donations to all the repeater owners and operators. So that helps us out with things like electrical bills, because you can't scrounge that out. And all the equipment that we need when we need backup batteries, whatever. They're always real quick to lend a hand and a couple of bucks.
Well, Kevin, you're to be commended, and all of the folks up there in the Knoxville area for keeping ham radio active and vital and important. And I know that you guys had some wildfires up there not too long ago. You have snow every year in the wintertime, and you have your fair share of natural disasters as well. And I know that they're always quick to jump in and help when they can. And it's great to see an active ham radio community up there. So just wanted to thank you so much for coming on tonight and sharing a little bit of the success of what some good people are doing up there in a good part of the world.
It is. It makes the hobby worthwhile when you know that the things you're doing are appreciated. They tell you all the time how much they appreciate you. And it kind of helps when things are a little slow to know that people are using what you have. And I've gone down to New Orleans recently and helped a couple of guys down there with their repeaters. And Don, the feedback you get is wonderful. It's just so nice to hear people say, "Hey, thank you. We needed some help. You were able to help." and it helps bring all of the communities together. And we periodically do link down in New Orleans via Echolink and All-Star, and trying to bring as many hams together as possible is a wonderful thing. We want everybody to get to know everyone as much as possible, and continue the community of amateur radio.
Very good. Kevin is going to hang out all the way till the end to the chat room segment. So I see a lot of questions going on in the chat room. Kevin's watching the chat room as well. But save your questions, send them to Amanda, and we'll have Kevin on towards the end for chat room questions a little bit later on. Kevin, thanks for being a guest on us on our show here tonight, and it's good to see your face, man. I miss you from down here.
I love you, Don.
Well, let's not go there.
Maybe later.
Not in front of the girls. Not in front of the girls. Amanda's listening.
Right.
All right. Thanks. We'll talk to you later on down. See? See? Now she's jealous. I know how you are. And George is firing up his soldering iron right now. He's going to come poke me with it. So why don't we go ahead and get a word from ICOM, and then we'll see if George wants to poke me with a soldering iron.
Get out and be active with ICOM's new IC705 and its optional multifunction backpack. The IC705 is your perfect QRP companion, as you have base station features and functionality at the tips of your fingers and a portable package covering HF 6 meters, 2 meters, and 70 centimeters. This compact rig weighs in at 1 kilo, or just over 2 pounds. With RF direct sampling for most of the HF band and IF sampling for frequencies above 25 megahertz. 5-watt battery operation with BP272, or 10 watts with a 13.8 volt DC supply. Modes include single sideband, CW, AM, FM, as well as full D-Star functions. A large 4.3-inch color touchscreen and live band scope with waterfall. Integrated GPS with antenna and GPS logger, micro USB connector, Bluetooth, and wireless LAN, and there's a micro SD card slot. It comes standard with the HM243 speaker microphone, and it supports QRP and QRP-P operations. The perfect accessory for the IC705 is the LC192 optional backpack with a special compartment for your IC705 and room for accessories for soda activations or just a day in the park. The IC705 has now received FCC certification, and ICOM expects products to be shipping to dealers by the end of September. Visit ICOMAmerica.com/amateur for more information about this and all the great ICOM radios.
And ICOM invites you to enter after each episode of Ham Nation. Go to ICOMAmerica.com/HamNation and register to win some great swag prizes like T-shirts and hats. While you're there, you'll also learn how you could win the monthly grand prize drawing for a new radio. And we've got a winner for September. An ICOM IC2738 dual band dual watch mobile is going to the home of Moshe Lehman, K2MM. Congratulations, Moshe. You're going to like that rig. Very nice analog dual band mobile. All the features you could want there, and a big display on it as well. For next month, though, we want you to register because we've got another radio that'll be given away, and that is the ID4100A entry-level D-Star mobile with big rig features. VHF, UHF, dual-band D-Star transceiver, one band at a time, upgraded user interface for easy operation. It's got the latest advanced D-Star technology built-in GPS, a micro SD card slot for voice and data storage. There's an optional Bluetooth board available, and you can download Android and iOS apps as well. So go to ICOMAmerica.com/HamNation after this and each episode and register to win. Don't forget to follow ICOM America Inc. on Facebook and Twitter. And that IC705 we just saw, got one sitting right here. They're out now. They've already arrived in the United States. ICOM has been shipping to dealers, and they should be delivering right away. I don't know what the stock is like. I would kind of think they may be selling out because it has been a really hot radio, and we're glad they're finally here. I'm not going to get to keep this one as much as I would like to. We're going to give this one away. If you'd like to win it, well, let me tell you how you can do that. You know, we've been doing amateurlogic.tv for 15 years next month, and ICOM has helped with a lot of things, but particularly with sending us this radio to give away for the 15th anniversary episode. That'll be October 16th. If you would like a chance to win that, well, you can go to amateurlogic.tv/contest and get all the details right there. We're going to be giving away the IC705 transceiver, just a great QRP or portable rig, dual band. It's more than dual band. It's all band, all mode, virtually. All you could want, definitely, in a portable radio. Also, to go with that, we're going to throw in the MFJ Big Ear Antenna Package, the MFJ 2289 PKG with tripod and carry bag, an MFJ 12-volt power supply, a portable supply, very small, easy to carry with you. And for extra audio there, well, how about the Heil BM17 headset? Perfect headset for use with emergency communications or portable operations like the IC705. We're also going to throw in some RG8X coax from MFJ and a set of Forrest Mims mini notebooks. You know, I have bragged about these many times over the years. They are one of my favorite books of all times. A lot of good projects in here. And Forrest does such a great job of publishing these. W5YI Master Publishing are the ones who actually publish it. Forrest wrote the books. All the drawings in here are done by hand. He gives you just the information you need to learn about the device and modify it, make changes to it, as well as a simple schematic on how to build a project with it. I have built a lot of these over the years, different things that were in Forrest Engineers mini notebooks, put them together to make a larger scale project. Also, a copy of Getting Started in Electronics from Forrest Mims, also a great book if you're just getting started in electronics. A lot of good detailed information on here, all in a concise format, easy to digest. So check that out, amateurlogic.tv/contest. Get the details right there. And to answer Don's question earlier, yes, there's been many times that I would like to poke Don with a soldering iron, but I don't want to damage my microphone.
Get in line.
Well, yeah.
You know, after that last segment with Kevin, I think I should probably just go incognito. There, that way nobody knows who I am.
That's a good look.
Thank you.
So, okay. Well, tonight we are going to melt just a tiny bit of solder, but we're going to use a good bit of wire and some other household items to build a little project here that, well, it's out of the archive, but it was one of my favorites.
This week on Smoke and Solder, we're going to attempt to build something I've never made before. It's a simple electromechanical device called a speaker, which I'm sure everyone has, but I've never built one, so this is going to be a new experience. I was thinking about the materials that I would need, and in particular the cone. Cones are made out of paper, some are made out of plastic, aluminum, and various other materials, and while I was trying to decide what to use, I was enjoying a beverage, and I decided why not try this paper cup. So that's what we're going to attempt to use first. We're going to need some stuff to go with that. Of course, we're going to need a magnet. This one's probably a little bigger than what we need, but it's what I found. And we're going to need some wire, and I've got a coil of some real fine gauge wire here. I'm not even sure what gauge that is, but it's probably a little heavier than what I see on most speakers. The magnets I chose to use are 1 1/8 inch ceramic magnets that I got at Radio Shack. There's actually 5 in the pack, but I have 3 here, and that's about 3/4 of an inch tall, and that's probably more than we really need for this project. Since I'm using 3 different magnets here, I was a little concerned that I might end up with 3 magnetic fills. So to rule this out, I took a hard drive magnet and moved it up and down the outside of the magnets, and it seems to be more attracted to the ends and not particularly to the joints in the middle. So that was a good sign. And just to be certain, I tried the test again using a paper clip and got the same result. Now I needed to combine the 3 magnets into one, and I decided the best way to do that was to slide them up on this screwdriver where they fit real tight so that I could ensure that they would all be in line when I got finished. And then I put a little super glue in there between each of the magnets and allowed it to dry. The magnets are glued together well now, and they're in a good straight order, but I did run into one problem that I had not anticipated. My magnetic screwdriver no longer seems to be magnetic. It doesn't want to hold the bit in, so now I'll have to remagnetize my screwdriver. Our next step is to make the voice coil. So we're going to take some 110-pound index bond papers and cut a strip here that's 3/4 of an inch wide, and then we'll cut another strip that's a little bit wider than that. Now we'll wrap the wider strip of paper around the magnets and tape that down. This will be used as a temporary spacer. Next we'll wrap the 3/4 inch sheet around, being a little more careful with it because this will be where our voice coil is actually wound. Now we'll remove the 2 pieces of paper and pull the spacer out, leaving our voice coil form, and this slips over the magnets with plenty of slack. If we had 32 or 34 gauge wire, then we'd probably need about 50 turns to come out near 8 ohms. However, this wire is a little larger than you'd normally find on a speaker, and I'm not sure of the size of it, but I know it's larger than 30 gauge. So we're just going to have to wrap around some turns and then take a measurement and see where we are. We'll stop and apply a little bit of super glue every now and then just to help keep our voice coil together. I've wound about 30 turns on here now, and we'll take a measurement and see where we're at. Boy, we've got a long ways to go. We're only at 1 ohm. Well, I wrapped and I wrapped and I wrapped, and I've got several layers of wire on here now, and this measures 4 ohms of resistance. That's not the same as 4 ohms impedance, but for a speaker, it's a pretty good indication that we're close. So we're going to make a 4 ohm speaker instead of an 8. I did a little experimenting off camera, and I've decided rather than this paper cup, we're going to go with a plastic cup because we're not looking for fidelity, we're looking for volume. Every speaker has a basket that holds a cone. Well, in our case, for our recycled material speaker here, we're going to use a super large box of Honey Nut Cheerios. Not only will this provide us with a sweet sound, it can also help lower cholesterol. It says so right on the box. I had only intended to use 3 magnets for the speaker, but we're going to put 2 more on the bottom just to hold the magnet up higher. The voice coil will go on top of that, and then our plastic cup speaker cone will fit on top of the voice coil. Well, you get the idea. We'll glue the voice coil to the bottom of the cup, and then we'll suspend the whole apparatus with rubber bands. I've marked what I believe will be the center of the cone where the voice coil should go, and we'll glue the magnets down there. Now we'll position the cone and the voice coil over the magnets, and we'll stretch out the rubber bands, and we need to determine some way to attach them so that we can adjust them easily. We don't want the voice coil or the cone to bottom out, so I'll use some alligator clips so that we can easily adjust the length of these rubber bands. It seems to be suspended to where the voice coil is not bottoming out, and it's not scraping against the magnets either. Time to connect the speaker wires now, so we'll bring out our soldering iron and melt a little lead. I've got the speaker connected to my amplifier now, so let's listen to a little bit of last week's Ham Nation on our do-it-yourself speaker.
A forum there at the Pacificon. I believe I am on tropospheric ducting, as well as I'm the Saturday morning. Good morning. And we've got some exciting audio that we're going to play. Hair-raising audio on that Saturday morning to get everybody reared up and ready to roll.
I've seen some of your forums at Dayton, and, hams...
Our speaker obviously works, but let's have a little fun now and analyze its characteristics a little bit. Right now I'm feeding in 1 hertz and we don't see any movement. Let's increase that to 5 hertz. And now 7 hertz, it starts becoming active. And at 9 hertz, it completely jumps off the magnet.
There's 20 hertz. That should be the lowest audible frequency for humans.
Now let's do an upward sweep of frequencies and see how it behaves. Watch the VU meter at the bottom of the screen and you'll notice that some frequencies seem to be louder than others. These are the resonant frequencies of the speaker. The speaker seems to be loudest right in the 700 hertz range. Let's pay attention to the other frequencies that peak the VU meter and see how they're harmonically related. Once we get much past 2000 hertz, the volume really starts dropping down fast. By the time we're to 3000 hertz, it's way down, so that's as far as we'll measure. A speaker is a transducer, and so is a microphone. So could we use this speaker as a microphone?
1, 2, 3, 4. Hello. Check, 1, 2. This is W5JDX talking on a Dixie Cup.
Well, it's not that good a microphone. And for that matter, it's not that great a speaker either. Now, I was talking with my friend Jim. You remember Jim?
I didn't hit it very hard. Let's see.
He said he had read where some hams were building speakers tailored to the 600 to 800 hertz range just for use with CW, because then that would eliminate all the noise and you would only hear the tone that you were trying to hear. This speaker seems like it might just work for that, being that it's resonant at 700 hertz. Now, before we leave, there's just one more test that I wanted to try. While the results were far from high fidelity, at least we did prove that you could build a simple speaker at home using common materials. Join us again next week for another Smoke and Solder.
And there you go, Don. One of my favorite projects done right here on the workbench. I had never tried that before, and it just seemed like something I needed to try. I'm thinking, though, if I went with a 50-gallon drum and some Romex, if I could get enough of it on there and find a big enough magnet, I might could do a concert arena with that. I'll have to check with Bob.
See, I like the gargling thing, but what you should have done is filled it about half full of gin and played How Dry I Am through it.
Yeah.
That's what you should have done.
I can send it down to you.
I'm out of gin, but I'm sure I can find something else. That's good stuff, George. It's nice to see your friend Jim. Yes, we remember your friend Jim, the pyromaniac. That's the funniest thing ever. Cleaning that old piece of PC board with a torch, and they almost set the place on fire. That's just perfect. I love it. Thanks. Thanks, George. That's good stuff. We've got Amateur Radio Newsline for you right now. We do not have Dr. T. She's been under the weather this week, so let's all wish her well. And, of course, you can also always get the solar forecast at her website, spaceweatherwoman.com, and also follow her on Twitter at Tamitha Skov. But let's go ahead and get into the news of the week now from Amateur Radio Newsline. From Amateur Radio Newsline report number 2239, these are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, September 30th, 2020. Our top story is one of change. A historic amateur radio convention venue is about to be no more.
We begin this week with the end of an era and the planned demolition of a Dayton, Ohio building that, since 1964, symbolized one of amateur radio's biggest international gatherings. Hara Arena, already deteriorating by the time it was left damaged by tornadoes in May of 2019, had been home to Dayton Hamvention until 2017, when it was moved to the Greene County Fairgrounds in nearby Xenia, Ohio. The arena property will also be rezoned to allow for manufacturing and distribution once the legendary building has been taken down.
Newsline anchor Neil Rapp, WB9 VPG. A global emergency preparedness initiative is underway and has put out a call to ham radio operators. They're being asked to assist with preparedness and safe response and educating the next generation.
The most effective disaster plans involve training tomorrow's MCOM operators. And according to Gregory Lee, KI6GIG, hams more than anyone can take an active role in this while helping communities respond to so-called geohazards. Greg says hams can educate the very youngest students, right up to those of college age, on the geography and hazards of their region. The basis of this education is his free downloadable article, Are You Living in a Potential Disaster Zone? Newsline has a link to the article in the printed version of this week's script at arnewsline.org. Hams should also become aware of whether their country is a signatory on the United Nations Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction and engage teachers in awareness of this formalized global response. Greg said that COVID-19 should not get in the way of this kind of training. He said the Amateur Radio Society of Bangladesh recently asked him to assist with development of a national MCOM network, and he was able to do the presentation to them in Dhaka from his QTH in Arizona. He told Newsline that in the schools, preparedness studies can complement class lessons as students learn how math, science, and other disciplines play into weather forecasting, radio science, and effective communication. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Christian Kudnick, K0STH.
When it comes to predicting coronal mass ejections, occasionally it's better not to be a scientist.
Citizen science has proved invaluable to researchers at the University of Reading in the UK in their search for a more accurate way to forecast coronal mass ejections. Thousands of volunteer participants in the Stormwatch Citizen Science project have been sending researchers their observations about previous CME images captured by special wide-angle cameras on spacecraft since the project began in 2010. The scientists then combined these observations with their own forecasting methods, making use of the additional information. According to an article in Science Daily, this model increased accuracy of solar storm predictions by 20%, supporting researchers' theory that the inclusion of imaging cameras on future space weather monitoring missions by ESA and NASA would be beneficial. The team also found that forecasts' uncertainty was reduced by 15% as a result of the volunteers' input, which provided a better sense of the trajectory and shape of the solar storm. The results of the study were originally published in AGU Advances. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jeremy Boot, G4NJH.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at arnewsline.org. With Neil Rapp, WB9 VPG, Christian Kudnick, K0STH, Jeremy Boot, G4NJH, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. And good stuff from the Ham Nation, the Amateur Radio Newsline crew. Thanks to those guys. And, of course, be sure to follow Tamitha Skov at Tamitha Skov on Twitter and spaceweatherwoman.com for the latest. Like I said, she's been a little bit under the weather this week, so we certainly hope that she gets better. Amanda in the chat room coming up next. But first, I want to tell you about LastPass. This episode of Ham Nation is brought to you by LastPass. Now, LastPass surveyed 700 IT and security professionals across a range of industries, from financial services to IT to retail, and 82% say their business has been exposed to a risk due to poor identity and access management. Well, thankfully, LastPass can help you manage identities and promote good security behaviors while your employees are remote, like a lot of us are working these days. You want your employees to have secure password storage. LastPass gives them their own vault for storing every app and web login they have. LastPass makes it easy and safe for employees to share logins while keeping access to corporate data safe. Single sign-on manages employee access in a centralized view, so IT always has insight into who has access to what and from where. Enterprise password management ensures oversight of shadow IT and enforceable policies across all password-protected accounts, and multi-factor authentication requires additional factors to provide a user's identity, while the use of biometric and contextual factors make the process smooth for employees. And employees always have their passwords with them and can gain access from anywhere, no matter where they're working from any device. Working remotely should add convenience, not frustration. So rest easy knowing that your business is secure with LastPass. They're using AES 256-bit encryption with PBKDF2 SHA-256 and salted hashes. I have no idea what that means, but they tell me it ensures complete security in the cloud. And that's all you need to know. Your data is encrypted and decrypted at the device level, so the data in your vault is secret from everyone, including LastPass. LastPass is in use at TWiT, and they love it. So mark your calendar for October 8th at 1 p.m. Pacific time. You'll find a special online panel of security experts sponsored by LastPass with Leo Laporte, Bruce Schneier, Father Robert Balliser, Brian Chi, and Gerald Boschelt. They'll discuss 5 common attack scenarios and the best practices to defend against them. This won't be your typical panel discussion either, as the panelists will be divided into attackers and defenders, each presenting their cases. LastPass, it's the #1 password manager. Let LastPass securely manage your user's identity, letting your employees work effectively without making your business vulnerable to cyber threats. Go to lastpass.com/twit. That is lastpass.com/twit. We thank them for their support of TWiT and of Ham Nation. Amanda, chat room. What's going on in the chat room tonight?
Oh my gosh, we've been pretty active here, Don. It's been a fun chat room tonight. All right, so lots of things to cover. Kevin, first of all, thanks for joining us. I have lots of questions for you. I just wanted to mention Tamitha has also been very busy covering a lot of aurora that has been showing up all over the world. So there's been some great views, some great photos. And again, like Don said, follow her on Twitter because you'll see some amazing things. All right. Other thing, let's try that again. WW0WWV. If you remember last year, it was their 100th anniversary for the WWV. And this club that's in Fort Collins had this beautiful special event that I got to go operate at. They're doing it again this year for the 101st anniversary. So try to find them on the airwaves. All right. Kevin, let's talk some repeaters. First of all, Brett WY7BG, he's dying to know. Do you sell some of that used gear online? Do you do an online swap fest or anything to help you upgrade?
I don't sell anything. I mean, everything can be reused. It's hard enough to get nowadays because pretty much everything is going narrowband. So there's not a whole lot of wideband equipment out there. When you can get it, man, you hold on to it. We do have an online swap net, and that's the Dixie Traders Net on Facebook. Man, I tell you what, those guys sell a ton of things through the repeater, and you can go on there. And I think there's also a ham radio swap net on Facebook as well. Those are the 2 things that I usually look for when we're looking for gear or anything of that nature. And I'll tell you what's another great thing. If you go to Facebook Marketplace, it's amazing what you'll find there.
Great. Well, so with my husband and I, we have a ton of repeaters here in Southern Colorado, so I like to get into the nitty gritty of things. Tell us first of all, what's your usual repeater setup? Do you use like Master 3s? What do you? Go ahead.
The majority of the repeaters are MSF 5000s. Those are Motorola's. My Link radios tend to be CDM 1250s. Those are also Motorola's. Hint, hint, I hang out at the Motorola shop a lot. I have a couple of standalone GE Master 2s, no Master 3s. Those are real hard to program. Got a couple of Kenwood 820s. That's the little desktop units. And that's the primary. Well, I've got a Fusion repeater, Quantar for P25, and then D-Star. Well, that's only made by ICOM for the repeater side. And that's the rundown there. A couple of Mycors, by the way. Don, I don't know if you're familiar with the Mycor brand. We used to have a lot down in New Orleans. Use those primarily on 6 meters.
Wow, that's a huge inventory of things. So this brings me to my next question. And someone even in the chat room had mentioned this, and I think it was K7AGE Randy. I think he must have mentioned this guy must be at a site every weekend doing some kind of maintenance or repair. And you're nodding your head yes. My husband can agree. There is always maintenance to be had. And around here, it's a PA that goes out, networking issue, something, mice. What are some of your bigger issues that you deal with?
Lightning can be a problem. A lot of stuff, it's not as intensive as you might think, but we do have a lot of mountains in the area, and most of the stuff is on mountaintops. You get a lot of wind damage. Not as much on the towers. Fortunately, the company I work for, the owner, Duke Wright, is a big ham operator up in Wisconsin, and he so graciously allows me to put stuff on his towers. But we're also fortunate to have a lot of sites here, mountaintop sites, that are big advocates of amateur radio, and they let a lot of people up, to help with the community's service. But I tell you, you want to know something I love doing at one of the sites? After I'm done what I normally will do for maintenance and everything, I like to go and fossil hunt.
Interesting. Now we have found some interesting things on our mountain sites, whether it be a century-old artifact or something, and maybe some arrowheads. But I don't think we've ever seen any dinosaur.
I'm going to jump off camera here for a second. I'm going to show you something that I get from a mountain site.
All right, I can't wait for this. This is fun. Nobody's ever left the camera and said, "I'll be back."
Well,
I have a piece of that in my aquarium. I have a piece of that you gave me in my aquarium with my fish.
This is 360 million year old Stigmaria. This is if I can get out the way, that is the root system of a plant that was back when the Earth was mainly a marsh, kind of like where Don lives, and about the same age too. And what didn't turn to coal stayed as plant life. So this stuff here, not only is it old, but it's rare because when all of the tectonic plates came together and all the heating and cooling, this little sucker, and I've got a lot of it because I like to go dig it up, didn't get turned to coal. So it won't burn in your cars.
That's pretty amazing. Oh, thanks, Kevin, for that. I cannot believe someone on the chat room said it looks like a cow pie. Oh, it actually does a little bit. I don't know how you can tell the difference.
A little bit.
Don, I think he licks his pretty often, don't you, Don?
The cow pie or the Stigmaria?
The Stigmaria in Make-A-Wish, right?
That's in my aquarium. My fish lick it all the time.
I'm so, not to go away from ham radio, but real quick, I'm curious, does that mess with your pH levels in your tank? You read about rocks and things doing that. It was just out of curiosity.
I've got all kinds of rock. It's in my little 10-gallon, and there aren't that many fish in there. And it's I've got 2 pieces of river rock actually, also from Tennessee, and that little piece of Stigmaria actually makes a bridge over it, so they swim underneath it. It's really cool to watch them do that.
All right, Kevin. This is the brass tacks question here. I know how much money we invest in repeater systems around here. Let's talk about it. I mean, and this is the other thing is that I really want to address this because a lot of repeater users just don't realize how much money and time it takes. So really just tell me how much time and money you put into your repeater system every year. That way some of these people might understand why it might help to donate that extra $5 that you didn't buy a Happy Meal at McDonald's with. Go ahead.
Fortunately, my wife is not listening, and my children, who I've told them I have no money for an inheritance, is pretty much all in repeaters for the most part. It's not cheap. The repeaters, look, like Don said, you hustle a lot. You dig in dumpsters. You help out the two-way guys. You do whatever you can to hustle what you can, but it does take a lot of cash infusion to make these things go. There's electrical bills. You know, I have counterparts in the area, and they have to pay the electrical bills. They have to pay the internet bills. It's not cheap. It's just something that we enjoy doing, and we try to do it as frugally as possible. But in the end, you know, you do put out a lot. I climb towers as well, so I don't have to pay for a tower climber. That helps, but that's another aspect for people who don't climb and have to pay for a tower guy to install an antenna, and that's not cheap. It all costs money. It's almost like owning a boat. You're constantly sinking cash into it, and fortunately, we're in an area where we have people who regularly send in donations, $5, $20, $50. You know, we get it coming usually just before or just after tax time, but it does cost a lot of money. I would say the average repeater site, if you put a cash equivalency to it, would be about $3 to $5 grand, depending on how much cable you have to run and the setup that you have to employ.
Absolutely, it is very pricey, people. Next time, and Kevin had already mentioned it, that he gets a lot of compliments and praise for having his system up on the air. And I just want to say, remember those when you want to complain that something sounds scratchy or wasn't as clean as it usually is, or this repeater might be down. Just be kind about it. Be kind. Mm-hmm. Right? When you get more in the complaint departments about your repeater system than you do the compliment department, it makes it a little bit rougher to be energetic about going out there and fixing things. And just And
I have a complaint department, and we have a lady in the complaint department named Miss Waite.
Okay. Well, that's exactly right.
Locked up.
It's rough handling all these repeaters, especially if you don't have a whole group of people that are out there willing to go and fix everything that's wrong with them. And it's mostly just, in my own experience, it would be a knowledge thing, and they don't have the experience to go out and fix it or take a service monitor out to see if it's a duplexer problem or if it's hardline or if it's the antenna. Those kind of things. And, we face more here at 12,000 feet where half of the year we can't even get to them. Kevin, it's so awesome. I know this is one thing. Don did a really cool thing for you, and you didn't even talk about this. Don did some voiceovers, so you don't just have your normal repeater IDs, right? You have some pretty cool custom ones.
Absolutely. I get anyone and anybody that I can grab that has a decent voice and can read some silly copy, and we utilize it to not only make the IDs more interesting, but they're also informative. We do a lot of humorous IDs, a lot of self-deprecating humor, because we sometimes take ourselves a little too seriously, and it's good to put some perspective in on it. Don has done numerous ones. A lot of them I can't air because they were just bad, poorly done. His voicings, I don't know. Don, were you drinking at the time? Maybe.
Not nearly enough.
Yeah,
you don't pay me enough to drink.
Not nearly enough. But yes, Don.
My favorite one is with more coverage than the repeater owner's hairline. This is the W4KEV repeater. That's one of my favorite
You did not
ones.
do when it said that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife asked
Yeah.
me, "What's on the TV?" I said, "Dust."
Dust.
That's how the fight started. You're listening to the W4KEV. Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, he did one, and it's a fan favorite around here. It's a straight ID, and then he ends it with, "What a hole."
I forgot about that one. I need to do those
Yes.
for you too, Amanda. I've been saying for years I'm going to do those for you, and it's remind me because I forget.
All right, I'll shoot an arrow your way.
And by the way, I know your complaint department, Miss Waite. Isn't her first name Helen? That's who you have
Yes,
to
it
go
is.
to.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's if you have a problem, go see Helen Waite.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
I know her. She's lovely.
One of our things is to say, write your complaint on the back of a $100 bill. We'll address it immediately.
Exactly.
Those kind of things. But anyhow, we appreciate all of the ham radio operators that use our system, and it's there for a purpose as well as Kevin's. And I'm sure Kevin has had his experience of hearing it actually come into some helpful use. So we have car accidents, bad weather, danger situations, fires, things like that. So that's the whole reason we do it. Isn't that right, Kevin? Just to help the community.
It is. It's all about community service. We do a lot of races. The clubs in the Knoxville and East Tennessee area are very active, and all of the repeaters here, mine and the other gentlemen gentlemen, as in multiple, who own repeaters, their services are used regularly. It's fulfilling to know that everybody gets an opportunity to let their stuff shine, but it's all about community as well. It's trying to bring everybody together. It's a great focal point that you don't normally see with HF. The VHF, UHF 6-meter repeaters are a great gathering point, and that's the focus is to get people together.
Absolutely. You all become family on those repeaters. That's the one thing I know for sure. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's been a great opportunity to meet you, and I feel your pains and your promises in hosting repeaters. The only other thing, you guys, I had for this evening, I wanted to talk about the simulated emergency test. Anyone that's in areas already knows about this coming up this weekend. I encourage everyone to get involved, even if you've been not active in areas or you might want to be active. Listen on your local repeaters, HF, look at all of your win links, because you're going to find a lot of messages going through this weekend. So pay attention to it. And if you're interested, this is the weekend to get involved. Check in, listen to the scenario. Don't just jump in there and listen to what's going on. But most of them are simulated scenarios. I would say that California is probably not doing wildfire scenarios since that's actual life right now. So they'll probably do earthquake things. Colorado, we typically do blizzards or power grid outages because we also have wildfires this time of year. Again, just listen and get involved if you can or if you want to. So, all right, nets. We've got 14 Charlie, the D-Star net. We have DMR on 31012. To be honest, I haven't seen either one of our HF guys here, but if there are nets going on, they're going to be on 14268 and 7192. All right, that's what we've got. Don, are you wrapping it up this evening?
Yeah, I am. I want to, before we get over to George and Kevin for final words, I want to share something with you. About 3 years ago, on September 9th, 3 years ago, I had the honor of acting as the officiant at my nephew's wedding. I got to marry my nephew and his wife, Bubba and Maggie. Yes, we call him Bubba. Well, on the 26th, their first child was born, my great niece. So I would like to show you a picture of my lovely wife, Dawn, with our great niece, Olivia May. I'm going to call her Miss Olivia because being born at 9 a.m. on the 26th, she missed sharing my birthday by 9 hours. So I want to introduce you to, my wife, Dawn, but more importantly, Miss Olivia May. She's a cutie. So check this out here real quick.
Oh, I saw that on Facebook, and it's just adorable. Squishy little cute face. Look at that nose.
Yeah. And she looks exactly like her dad. So God help her. But yeah, we're just pleased as we can be to have her in the family. And she's about 100 feet right over that way. So she lives here on the property with us, so we get to see her anytime we want. And she's doing great. So welcome to the family, Miss Olivia. And that's what I'm until the day I die, I'm going to call her Miss Olivia because she missed my birthday by 9 hours. So, George, any final words tonight? Final words of wisdom?
Final words of wisdom. If you have not already, go register for this radio, amateurlogic.tv/contest. Somebody's going to win it. It might as well be you.
Exactly. And Kevin, you're still around, I think. So any final words tonight before we wrap it up?
Yeah, if anybody's interested, you can go to my Facebook page, W4KEV. We've got the Dixie Traders Net page. And also I do ham radio show and tell, again, with the purpose of letting other amateurs see what other amateurs are doing with their stations, their repeaters. There's a world of information we like to share and help people. If they're interested in putting up a repeater or getting things involved with a local repeater, we'd be more than glad to help out and offer some suggestions.
Well, you're a great ambassador for amateur radio. You do a lot for the community, and we certainly thank you. Thanks also to Bob West and to our folks over at TWiT for pushing all the buttons and everything. We've got a new technical director tonight, and I'm sorry, I haven't been around for the last couple of weeks, so your name escapes me. What is who's pushing the buttons tonight? There
Anthony.
He is.
It's been a
Anthony.
pleasure.
Thank you, Anthony. Mm-hmm. Thank you for being here. Our regular guy is actually on baby watch. His baby is Victor's baby is expected on October 5th. He texted me earlier and he says it will be his third child, and they were all born on the 5th. So I detect a trend there. He and his wife must be on some type of a schedule or something. I'm not sure.
Or schedule.
Anyway, yeah, exactly. Anyway, so thanks to everybody for behind the scenes for what they do here, and also Victor. Hopefully by this time next week, Victor will have his kid here. So that'll be cool. That'll be very cool. Anyway, thank you for helping us do what we do here, and we'll see you next week here on Ham Nation. So good night, everybody. 7-3. We love you.
Be sure to check out the other shows on the network, like my other show, Hands On Wellness. I love to share different tips and tricks that's going to help you get a better grasp on your personal wellness. Just go to twit.tv/how and subscribe now.